I'm Amanda Knox, and you're listening to Hard Knocks. In this episode of Old School, we revisit my conversation with my dear friend Anna Vasquez, a member of the San Antonio Four, and her partner, Denise Tristan. This is a really fun one because in the stories of wrongful convictions, you don't often hear the love stories. So this is the story of how Anna and Denise were able to find each other in the midst of this incredibly overwhelming crisis, how Denise became an advocate and a partner for Anna, and how they deal with the lingering psychological effects of Anna's wrongful conviction. Enjoy.
In the 80s and 90s, hysteria over satanic ritual abuse spread like a plague across the country. Daycare workers and babysitters were accused of molesting children, forcing them to participate in pornographic films, in the mutilation and sacrificing of animals, in the digging up and desecration of corpses. From California to New Jersey to Texas, hundreds were accused, leading to 190 formal prosecutions and 83 convictions. And all this without a scrap of physical evidence, not a single satanic robe or altar, no blood, no weapons, no animal carcasses, no DNA. To this day, no definitive evidence has been found for even one case of satanic ritual abuse.
This moral panic was a backlash to secularism and feminism, and it was aided by a deeply flawed understanding of repressed memory recovery and coercive and leading interview techniques by social workers, therapists, and law enforcement. The children who were coerced into accusing their own relatives and caretakers were the first victims of this panic. The secondary victims were people like Anna Vasquez, often people who were different.
Anna was accused along with 3 other friends, all of them lesbian and 3 of them Latina, of sexually assaulting 2 young girls. This was despite a complete lack of physical evidence and obvious inconsistencies in the girls' testimony, something that often happens with coached and coerced abuse allegations. Years later, one of the girls recanted, saying that their father had pressured her into making up the story. But at the time, with satanic hysteria in the air, the prosecution had far too easy a time ramming through the wrongful convictions of the San Antonio Four.
I was 19 years old. I didn't know anything. God, if I knew now what I know then, I would have never cooperated. And that's horrible because that's all people do is, especially innocent people, they want to cooperate. They want to help, right? I mean, let's figure this out. Let's vindicate me and move forward, right? And just doesn't work like that, you know?
The thing that always gets me is that the lie about both of your cases is not just horrific. It's not just vile. It's also so unbelievable. It's so unbelievable and absurd. The story that people believed, that they swallowed, that newspaper writers put forward, that prosecutors put forward, that juries believed.
Gleefully.
Like, it's such a totally, obviously made-up story.
Oh, that's the woman that put her nieces on this altar of lust. I mean, it was just disgusting. I just see a picture of an altar, right, and a child, and we're in black robes, and it's just, oh my God, like it's disgusting.
I'm curious how, having seen people believe that obviously false thing, if that's changed how you look at the world and what people around you believe, having seen how easily people came to believe this lie.
Yeah, if I, see a news program and I hear the story, I'm just not 100%, it's 100% facts. No, I'm always like, well, we got to keep an open mind. Don't be so quick to judge.
I know that
wrongful conviction and imprisonment has super changed me and given me what I feel like is a lot of very valuable perspective. And obviously, it's changed the course of my life. It's changed the course of your life. And like one of the more sad things about it is it becomes this big thing that everyone makes a big deal about, and you're in the headlines and everyone's like satanic panic, sexual blah, 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 like lowly evil women with their crazy sex lives. And then you disappear into the system and no one wants to hear from you anymore. They're like, it's done. And you're like, no, it's not done. You're living in a world where like a lie is living on top of your reality. And you have to still live in that world. The way that I sort of talk about it when it comes to my own case is there's a version of me that exists in the world to this day, and people mistake that Foxy Noxy version of me for me. Like today, still, they think, oh, I know who Amanda Knox is. It's that person who was a part of that crime. And it's like, that's a version of me that exists in the world that I now have to interact with. I have to live in a world where other people are informed by a lie, and that is shaping my reality. Do you feel like you're still dealing with stuff like that?
Sometimes. I mean, you brought it up, San Antonio 4. That's how we're recognized, right? But I want to be my own person now. I want to put that beside me. I know you go through it a lot more than I do. I can't even imagine, but I'm like, I know that's my life, right? That's what happened to me. But I'm trying to disassociate with that. I'm not a victim, So I just want to move forward. I just want to, help others and try to get away from that. I really don't want to be remembered like that. I want to be remembered as somebody that came out of this, stronger than ever, honestly, more educated and out there helping others.
In 2012, after serving 14 years of her 15-year sentence, Anna was unexpectedly paroled. Her 3 other co-defendants were still in prison, and they all remained wrongly convicted.
I had been into solitary, refused to take part in a sex offender treatment program, and it sent me to one of, so it's called medium custody, and it's one of the lowest custody levels, right? Well, one day I get this paper in the mail saying that I made parole. And I could not for the life of me believe that because my custody levels had changed. I knew the consequences that were going to come with it. They take away your privileges and you lose custody levels. So now from just shy of a trustee level status, I got shot down all the way to the second lowest. So it was medium custody that I was released from parole. There was a time when I was like, why am I going? I mean, it was just unheard of for somebody to be released from medium custody on parole. But after thinking about it and praying about it, I was like, this is my time. This is what I'm going to have to do. I've been chosen to do this. And I couldn't understand it, but I just put it up to God. I mean, he had a purpose. I didn't know what it was, but once I was released, I was going to keep our story alive, the case moving, trying to talk about it and educate people and finally hear our side. Because before the media was in favor of us, I mean, we were these 4 lesbians that gang raped these 2 little girls. And it was just, the headlines were horrific, so we were already guilty in the eyes of the public even before we went to trial. So that's what I was going to do. I was going to continue to fight because I didn't feel complete without them. It wasn't fair.
Yeah.
We all need to be out, we're all innocent. So.
And you hadn't been able to talk with your co-defendants while you were in, right? Because you can't write letters back and forth to other prisoners.
Yeah. Liz was in the same prison that I was. The other ones were not. The only way that we could know was if somebody was transferred from one unit to another. Now, when I say that, just because Liz was in the same unit, it wasn't like we could stay in the same dorm. I mean, we're in prison, it's not like you have freedom like you would want to. So it was restricted.
In 2013, thanks to Anna's advocacy, And with the help of the Innocence Project of Texas, her 3 other co-defendants, Liz, Cassandra, and Christy, were released on bail.
And that was the first time I had seen Christy in 13 years. And the others, it was just kind of if somebody ran into them. Mm-hmm. Or if my mom went to go visit one of the girls, she would just basically say, she's okay, or, something happened, but not very long conversations. Yeah, it was hard. When we were able to speak and discuss about, the things that we went through in there and what we did, right? It's funny how all of us tried to write somebody, whether it was media, whether it was the attorneys, when you went to the law library, to ask for help. All of us did it. And it was just amazing that nobody gave up. And when you think about co-defendants, that's almost unheard of, Amanda. There's a lot of people that turn on each other. And it was just amazing that, everybody stuck to their guns and weren't afraid, of prison. And shit, that's something to be said.
Yeah.
Especially, and you can probably relate to this now, but the mothers, they left their children.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Like I can't imagine the temptation to just be like, whatever you say, I'll say whatever you need me to say. Like, let me get back to my children.
Yes.
Like, yeah. Ugh, it gives me the creeps. In that between period when you had that sort of surreal moment of like, why me? Why am I the one who has to get out and be the voice? I guess I'm the voice now. In any given day, what were you trying to accomplish, and how did you even manage to do that with all of the sort of stigma against you and the story against you? Like, how do you even begin to be the voice of the San Antonio Four?
Wow, I just kind of took it a day at a time. Like I said, I didn't know what was expected. We had already started the documentary while we were on the inside in prison, right? So I knew that, that was going to happen.
Satanic cults, satanic ritual abuse has become the fastest growing and most controversial psychological phenomenon in the country. It's a modern twist to an ancient story.
Investigated their world of covens and sacrifices.
This case is probably the last gasp of the satanic ritual abuse panic. Allegations were made that 4 young women had gang raped these 2 little girls.
The film, called Southwest of Salem, followed the women for years, starting in 2011, documenting their fight for exoneration. The filmmakers also followed Anna after she was released.
I think, Amanda, there was a misrepresentation when I was released. It almost felt like, well, why are you released? But they don't know the extent of all the shit I had to go through, being a registered sex offender and having to go into that place, Amanda, with all of those other people, which now I'm not going to just say all of them are guilty, but oh my God, having to follow certain routes to take, not being able to pass by a church. They said it's any place where children gather. So you're looking at a church, you're looking at playgrounds, you're looking at schools, libraries. The list goes on and on.
What's left? It's like
your world becomes so small.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So coming out from my driveway at home, you could either go right or left. I could never go left because at the end of the street, there was a church. Wow. Never. If there was an HEB that was maybe a 5-minute walking, right? I would have to go down and take about 8 to 10 minutes just to get there, just because I had to follow a route that missed a church. Or even, sometimes they have daycares that are inside the home, and it's like, oh my God, like, how do you, it's really hard. It's almost like it's set up for failure. But at the same time, Amanda, I understand the importance of having these rules in place. It just sucked that I fell under that category. Going back to prison was not an option. So I had to follow everything to the T. And, people would always say, how do they know that you went down those streets that, following the route? Well, they polygraph you. So there is no line. And we already know about polygraphs, right? I mean, how sometimes they're inaccurate and sometimes they're not. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just not
You don't want to risk
used
it.
in court. Yeah, no. I mean, by no means. So, yeah, I followed it to the T. I mean, paranoid. Those 2 years that I was on that, because you just never know, Amanda, especially after what we've been through before all this happened. I really believed the stories on TV. You see somebody getting arrested, they did something, had to be. Nobody makes a mistake like that.
Mm-hmm.
Little did I know that it happens all the time. So I don't think we'll ever have 100% faith in the system, because we know firsthand how it can affect us and ruin somebody's life.
Sounds like just that part of it alone, the requirements of the registry is a trauma-inducing thing. Do you find lingering effects like driving by a church or a school? Does it flash in your mind having had those restrictions on you?
I think in a sense it does. I mean, I'm not going to park outside of a school just to use the phone or something. I will not do that. And then it goes back to, I'm always on guard, always thinking, well, what could it look like if I'm here? So I just try to stay completely away from all of it, to where anybody could have something to say. And it's really hard. It's like always staying on your toes.
Yeah, constant low-level paranoia, right?
Yeah.
Ana Vasquez suffered a tremendous miscarriage of justice. But this episode is about more than a wrongful conviction. It's also a love story.
I have an ex-girlfriend by the name of Jolene. Anna and Jolene grew up on the same street. What broke them apart was like a little bridge, like a creek or something. And they grew up together. In fact, their brothers hung out with each other.
That's the voice of Denise Tristan.
So in my relationship with my ex, she had told me, have you ever heard of this story, San Antonio 4? But I was like, no, never. She goes, you're gay and you haven't heard this story. I said, look, even though I'm gay, I didn't have time to watch television or the news. I was too busy working, raising my kids, and doing what I needed to do, and never heard of the story.
Denise began looking into the case, while Anna and her 3 other co-defendants were still protesting their innocence from inside prison walls.
Knowing the story and looking into it, the more I heard about it, it's like, okay, this doesn't seem right. I mean, it doesn't even add up. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. And during this time, my partner and I had gone out to the courthouse to get the transcripts, and we paid for them. And we sat there, and I was on the living room floor. I didn't want to mess them up, and I had yellow sticky notes here and there with this being said here. Like, why didn't they question this part? Why didn't the girl's attorney say something about this? I don't have a degree in law or any of that, but it, like I said, didn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff was just stupid. Like witches on a broom, really?
Of the San Antonio 4, Denise first reached out to Cassandra, Anna's ex-girlfriend.
I became good friends with Cassandra. And then during this time, when little stories were starting to come out, I went out of my way and I would buy newspapers and cut them out, put them in envelopes and mail them.
And this led her to connect with Debbie Nathan, a writer who was advocating for the San Antonio 4.
Debbie Nathan reached out to us and contacted my ex and I and said, is there any way you can send me the transcripts from that? So I went to my real estate office because they had the big Xerox machine that you could use. And I stood there for about 4 hours scanning, and then email was much as the file allow you to do it. And I was just doing it, sending all that to her. And that's when I started investing more and more time in trying to do what I could. I mean, I even sat on my desktop trying to reach out to, Montel Williams, Oprah Winfrey, 2020. And, when you try to reach out to those people, okay, can you describe the story in about 150 characters? Really?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to write something to them and you don't want to sound ignorant, but if you got 150 characters, because becomes C-U-Z, the F-O-R became the number 4 because you have to shorten it. And it's like, please just go to this link, which Daryl Otto had a link to the San Antonio 4 that he had. And of course, a lot of people are like, I'm not going to open that link because what if it's something bad, whatever, spammers or whatever you call them. I would send letters before. I even sent one to the Innocence Project. To them, and they go, well, I'm sorry, at this time we're not taking any cases, and the cases we do take have to have DNA, and of course there was no DNA in this case.
Yeah.
But thank you, for reaching out. And even the law universities I was trying, and nobody would answer me or come to me. And so that's how I got involved.
Denise just wanted justice. She had no idea she would find love.
Denise had written Anna letters in prison, just like she had with the other three. But it wasn't until Anna was released that the two met in person.
I knew that one of the girls was coming out. I just didn't know which of the four were coming out. And I just know that I wanted to help in any which way I could. So, and then when it turned out to be, it was Anna. I remember where she lived. And so I thought, let me just wait for the hoopla of everything, the news reports, everybody going by, give it some time. So been like a week, I think, or a week and a half maybe. And I stopped by to go to her house and I knocked on the door and no one came to the door, but I can hear somebody in the house because her mom's house is older and the floors creaked. And I heard somebody walking, but I was just like, oh, okay, they don't come to the door. That's fine. So I go to my car to get a card, one of my real estate cards to write in the back, it's Denise. And, if you need anything, please give me a call. I'd like to talk to you. I left it on the mailbox. And as I walk back to my car and I look back and see somebody in the curtain, not even nonchalantly. I mean, it's just, you can see it like, okay. So left it at that. And then she finally calls me like a day or so later and I was supposed to meet with her. And I ended up canceling because I was going to have a steroid shot in my knee. So we set up another time. So before me coming over, she literally screamed to me well, wait a minute, let me ask you some questions. She goes, have you ever been in prison? No. Have you been on probation? No. All these questions. I said, no, I'm a realtor. They do a background check, fingerprints. I work for Southwest. I had to go through all of that too. And she goes, okay. And she goes, do you have any children or do you have any kids? I said, yes, I do. She goes, well, then you can't come see me. And she's like, I said, what? Why? I'm not going to bring them with me. She goes, well, anybody that has kids under the age of 70, I said, girl, mine are like 20 something years and older. And she's, oh, okay.
The first night that she came over to my house, of course, because I'm a registered sex offender, can't go anywhere, right? Have to be in the house by like 10 o'clock. It was like maybe 6:30 in the evening. And in her mom's house, the front porch had a light directly on the porch. So when Anna came out of the door, I couldn't see the front of her because of the shadow and the light was behind her, it faced on me. Come out of the front door and there's a porch light right behind me. So I can see her, but she can't really see me because I'm like in a shadow,
Yeah.
And when I saw her, I was like, oh, wow, you're pretty. And that right there kind of like, I don't know, there's a lot of ugly people in prison. And right when I was going to say hello, she's like, oh, wow, you're pretty. And then
she said that out
I
loud.
All my cool. Yes, I lost all my cool. I couldn't be suave anymore because I didn't know what to say. And I learned to say, not say, oh, be quiet. No, I'm not. I learned to say, thank you. So I was like, well, thank you. And I walked in. At that point, I was really nervous because I didn't expect that. Even though in the back of my head, I could still hear her telling me that. I was trying to be prim and proper and, fixing my shirt and not do anything. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was like so loud in my head as she was talking to me. And I could see where she's just looking at me, up and down. I was really nervous. And I wasn't nervous when I first got there until she said that. So anyway, with that being said, we sat down in the living room and we talked and she told me her rules that the probation officer had given her and a parole officer, had given her. And I was like, wow. And in my mind, I was like, dang, her age, this neighborhood, her high school friends all have kids at that age in their, 30s, 38, 37.
Yeah.
So no one's been able to visit her or they've been in trouble. When she learned about all the restrictions that I was under, she really felt compelled to just be my friend. When I told her that, she goes, gee, did you feel sorry for me? And I was like, well, it's just a little bit, but in my busy life with grandchildren, Southwest Airlines, real estate, working also part-time at a restaurant, helping somebody. Then now I'm throwing something else in my, in my lap to come visit her because she really couldn't have any visitors. She really couldn't go anywhere either. She couldn't do anything. She felt bad because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't even watch. There was restrictions on the movies I would watch.
What?
Yes. I couldn't watch anything over PG-13.
What?
Yes, I couldn't watch anything rated R. I couldn't watch movies that were
Wow.
not rated. Yeah, yeah. And how do they know that? They polygraph you.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
I got to show you my paperwork because you probably can't even imagine that happens, right? But isn't it funny that, I was, quote unquote, a registered sex offender against a child, right? But yet I can't watch anything but PG, and PG-13.
Yeah, like you're a child.
Yeah.
What? Wow.
So, long story short, she would come over with board games and we would just talk. And that's how we started to get to know each other, by just kind of hanging out at home, and couldn't have a cell phone besides talk and text, no internet, no phone with a camera. So it was literally a flip phone. When she was around, she was subject to be searched as well if my parole officer came.
Wow.
Yeah, she couldn't have any kind of alcohol in her vehicle, on her. She couldn't leave any kind of computer devices that I could have gotten a hold of. It was just insane. But it was really just kind of like old school, how you would just kind of spend time together with somebody, because I saw the devices, right? I saw how people were having lunch and they were on devices. They weren't even having a conversation anymore.
Yeah.
So, I guess that gave us the ability to do that, because I couldn't have all that stuff. So it was over board games and just talking. And then it went from there.
No.
And she hasn't left since.
No. You're a good talker.
No, she was great. She was great, but she went through hell, guys.
Yeah.
She really did. There was a time when my parole officer came and asked me about her. And I was like, we're in a relationship now. And she tells me she has to go down to the office with me tomorrow, right? We go down there and she basically makes Denise sign a paper saying that Denise will report me if Denise sees me like watching children or doing something that I'm not supposed to do. It was almost like an affidavit. She would report me by being in a relationship with me. I mean, she went through hell. I mean, how many people would do that?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be gone. This is just too much, right? I mean, her whole world changed as well.
As a realtor, I have a bunch of clients, but there was this one couple that one of my very first year when I started out in real estate, became loyal clients. They was there to buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And they had called me up and they were ready to sell again. This time they wanted to live more like in the Joneses kind of say in San Antonio. And so I should go and did a market analysis. And I said, okay, well then let me know in a couple of weeks once the house is ready and you got everything packed up, we'll move forward. And I didn't bother to bug them or call them. I don't like bugging my clients. I figure, when they're ready, they'll call me instead of all these hundreds of emails you get from a realtor and stuff. So then about the third week, I just reached out and said, hey, how's it going? Just want to check in and see what the status is. And they didn't answer me. I was an email and it was a text and then a phone call. I didn't hear anything from them. And then finally, the wife calls me and says, I'm so sorry. My husband is a captain and he's in the Air Force. He just happened to look at your Facebook and saw this when Anna was going through fighting for her exoneration and everything else, and saw these different things. And we didn't know, and nothing against who you are, because we know who you are. We've worked with you. We loved your work, but he doesn't want it to get back to, his squad or, all that other stuff. And it was, I guess, a nervous thing because they have a daughter. So she was very careful how she was talking to me, and I understood it. I said, nope, that's okay. I get it. I understood. She goes, no, I'm so sorry because we loved you. We loved your work. You've always treated us well. You've always been loyal and honest and ethical with everything. It's just, he's really worried about this. And I said, I understand. So when I got off the phone, Anna had heard me and she gave me a hug and said, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry that you lost a really good client because of me. And I said, no, that's okay. I'm good. I'm good. And, some of the things, like a lot of Anna's prison friends, before Anna had her Facebook, she was using mine, or we had it together because Mike had suggested back in the day for them not to get on social media just yet because things could be perceived wrong. So with that being said, a lot of our prison friends were requesting our friendship. And I was okay. They're throwing gang signs on their social media or saying things using the word BITCH or all these other things like, I can't do this anymore, Anna. I said, because this is also my page. And if people see this and perceive it, also with Southwest Airlines, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
She understood. Time for you to put your big girl panties on and have your own Facebook now. So that was kind of the stuff. And then, of course, she got her own Facebook. A lot of women were Facebooking her, requesting her and then sending her messages, sending her pictures of, parts of their bodies and stuff like that. And trying to reach out to talk to her. You're coming to Austin. Can we meet? If you ever need a shoulder to lean on, you can talk to me. I'm like, really? Who am I? Chopped liver? So I don't know if she ever told you, but I went on her Facebook and I changed her picture and I put the picture of the dog, of our dog. So she kept getting these messages like, oh, what a cute picture. And she's thinking, what the hell's going on? So she looked at her Facebook picture and she goes, did you change my picture and put our dog on there? I said, yep. And I blocked all those other women. So, yes. Excuse me. But anyway, that was it. That was what gave us the kind of the harder thing about it, but never, nothing that we couldn't really handle. And yes, I did lose a couple of clients, but it's okay. Now they know who she is and it's different. Two have reached out, not that couple, but two have reached out and were, very apologetic to me. And they're just, because they didn't know too much about the story, which I get.
Were you ever expecting to fall in love after everything that happened?
God, no. I have these plans. I'm going to enjoy my family. Now, this is before knowing the restrictions, okay? So, was my world turned upside down when I had those restrictions put on me. But I was, I'm going to spend time with my family. I wanted to catch back up with my nephew who I had started a relationship with in prison, right? Like he could go and see me, of course, behind the glass. But, we would talk about going to SeaWorld and parks or whatever, just together to hang out. I mean, and then it stopped. But my focus was just to get reconnected with my family. It wasn't, I'm going to go and start dating. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking about reconnecting with my family and continuing to keep our story alive. But these things are not planned when they happen. It happened.
A pretty lady showed up on your doorstep with a board game.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, it's sweet. I know that she's been through a crazy journey because Chris has been through a crazy journey. And I think that one of the things that I think is really beautiful just about like Innocence Network conferences and us being able to actually spend time with each other is we bring our people. And Chris can talk to someone like Denise or other partners of exonerees or wrongfully convicted people and just be like, oh yeah, you've had a knife photoshopped in your hand? Me too. Right? Like, and people have looked at you like you must be some weird murder porn person because you're dating someone. So it's all love. What is Anna like as a partner?
Well, you got a couple hours? As a partner, I don't know how to phrase this, but if my dad were alive, he'd think she'd be perfect if she was a man.
Oh.
Should I say? And he was good. He was fine with it. I mean, he accepted it, which I thought he wouldn't be because my dad was very old-fashioned Hispanic kind of guy. And he did. But as a partner, she's there for everything. She's there to uplift me when I do something or I have a sale or I've got something under contract. She's my, I'm not going to say cheerleader because she wouldn't like that, but she's my team. Cool. She's awesome. And I appreciate her so much. Every day I appreciate her.
What was it like falling in love with Anna? Because this is something that I think that Chris can deeply relate to you about. Anna's story is hugely in the news and people knew about it and had taken over her life. Like, how do you navigate that while you're getting to know her and while you find yourself falling in love with her? How do you navigate that?
Well, you're going to make me cry again. Well, I think, yes, Chris and I would have a lot in common, but I think as a woman to woman, women's needs are different, you know? And some of us are like nurturing, motherly like. And with Anna, she's a lot masculine, but when meeting her and listening to her talk, I look at her and think, what kind of person would think that she would do something like this?
Yeah.
Because the way she is with my grandkids, I mean, my grandkids tell me, Grandma, why aren't you one of those nice grandmas? I am a nice grandma. I'm just, when there's a no, it means no. I'm not going to let you get away with it because I feel like I'm teaching them. But anyway, and Anna's like, hon, do you think, you're a little rough on that one? I'm like, no, I'm not. I let her handle that. She's really, believe it or not, without having kids, she's got a lot of motherly instincts in her. She's a big caregiver. Mm-hmm. So when I started falling in love with her because of who she was, her humbleness, her loyalty, having my first surgery on my knee. I mean, it's like if it was her knee that had the surgery, she knew exactly how to care for me. Versus me, I probably would be a rough nurse, like Nurse Ratched or something. And all those qualities about her is what I fell in love with. Just looking at her, I mean, it took my breath away. Not her outside, but her inside of who she was. And how much she cared about the other three. Because it wasn't just about her. It was about all of them.
Yeah.
She never thought about just herself. She always thought about them. And it was really hard to watch her cry and get emotional all the time. And get with all the people that, that interview her, she would try to stay really strong and try not to break and try not to cry. But when it came to the other three girls, she put herself back and put them in front. And it was never really about her. She wasn't even selfish about anything. Even to the day when we had that little barbecue, that plate sale, and trying to figure a way of holding their money, all four of them, and to the penny, if it was 832 cents, that's what they got, $800.32. She's a very loyal person, a loyal friend, a caring friend. We fit together as one. She made it easy to fall in love with her. She didn't make it hard.
When you think back to the Anna that this hadn't happened to yet, do you feel like she is still a part of you? What parts of you is still there that are the Anna that didn't get wrongly convicted?
You know what? Not very many. I was 19, fresh year prior, had just graduated high school. Not a care in the world, right? Had no idea. Didn't pay attention to news. I was just out there having a good time, So being a kid, not having to worry about responsibilities. And now I guess I'm not as carefree as I used to be. I'm always aware of my surroundings and the people in them, which is it's, say, for example, I have family members. Well, if that family member is doing drugs or smoking weed or whatever, I don't need to be around them. I'm just giving you a scenario, that's not actual facts, but I'm just trying to tell you that it was something that it was just me. I didn't look at other people and their actions because now I know you could be involved in it without even really knowing it. It could be the assumption. And then there you go with the whole skepticism about investigations, about, the criminal justice system and how, things happen. And not everything is black and white, right? But I've become a little bit more serious. I don't know. It's just more responsible. I guess more in touch with how things can go wrong so fast.
Yeah, it sounds like you're always on the lookout for, don't give them an opportunity to misconstrue anything.
Yeah, I'm going to share this one thing with you guys. Because of what happened, I refuse to be around children alone, period. Right? Like, don't leave my nephew or my niece with me.
No.
Unless somebody's there. I just won't. And I never used to be like that. My nephews and nieces, before all this happened, those were my children because, I had older brothers that had children. And I think my oldest nephew is like 7 years apart, me and him. So we kind of grew up together, right?
Yeah.
But that was my baby nephew, right? Now he's like, I don't know, what, 38? 38.
Damn.
Yeah. But that's still my baby nephew, that's my baby. Yeah. But now it's like, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's something you lost. That's not even your fault. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was counting on you babysitting.
The San Antonio Four were all released from prison by 2013, but it wasn't until 2016 that they were finally exonerated. For Anna, exoneration brought up some unexpected emotions.
Once she got exonerated and all the reporters came around and everything, and it was a day before Thanksgiving, and a lot of our friends from like Rockport, Austin, Houston, Dallas were all going to come in. And she just kind of looked at me and she goes, you know what? Can I be alone by myself in the room? And I'm like, okay, are you sure? You sure? This was a shocker for me because I'm so used to taking care of her and things. And she's like, no, I just need a moment. And do me a favor, will you call our friends and tell them not to come? And I'm like, okay. So I sat in the other room with her mom. And I was, of course, puzzled and thinking like, did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? And then like about 4 or 5 hours, she comes out. She just told me, she goes, for 20 something years of my life, Denise, all I've known is to fight for my freedom. What do I do now? I'm 40. I don't know what to do now. Yes, it's a weight lifted off my shoulder, but I'm lost. And so I understood that.
I dealt with it, like I said, for 24 years. That was even longer than I had lived before it all began. I broke. And I was telling Denise, what the hell am I going to do with my life now? It was like that was all I knew to fight for my innocence. And then it was taken away. You would think that you would be ecstatic, jumping for joy, everything. And I ended up having a down day and we canceled everything. I didn't see anybody. I just couldn't explain it. And it sounds crazy, but I had lost my purpose. Yeah, it's weird. It's crazy. I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not crazy. It's totally not crazy. That moment of crisis that you had when it was like all over and you were like, okay, now what? Now my life begins. And like, how do I dig myself out of this so I can just live my life? I often worry about this, that like there's nothing that I ever really do that will define me as much as this thing I didn't do. Do you worry about that?
Yes. No, perfectly said. Yes, you're absolutely right. But look how far you've come and what you've accomplished. And yet it's all on a back burner because this is Amanda Knox, she was in Italy and did this horrific thing. And, somehow you beat the system. Not that you were, innocent all along of it, right? No, you found a loophole or something, it's just ridiculous. Hopefully we're wrong, friend, right? Hopefully we'll be looked at, in a positive light rather than the lies. Really?
Yeah.
Why do people want to believe those horrific lies about us, rather than see where you guys are now?
This kind of issue is common in the world of exonerees. You spend decades fighting to prove your innocence. Then when you finally do, then what? Who are you beyond that fight? It takes time to figure it out.
Once she connected again with herself and became her individual self again, the changes that I've noticed is she, I guess I could say, and I don't want to say grow up. It was time for her to be an adult, Time to pay bills. When you didn't have those before, when you had to do it in prison. She kind of evolved to trying to, I guess, take the role as now I'm an adult. Now I'm your partner. Yes, I've been your partner, but now I'm your partner. And the changes I saw in her were more, she's always been loving with me. I just felt like she was able to breathe, unbutton that top button. And now I'm good. Now I can kind of move on with my life, and we have each other, and she knows I have her back no matter what it is, no matter where we go. And I've always been her rock, and she's always been mine. She's always tells me, like, it's been hard for me on some of these things, and you made it easier, some of these things, by talking to me and calming me down and helping me see it another way.
What kind of other ways were you able to show her how to think about everything?
By not reading the comments in the newspaper, ignoring the comments. You may get angry and you want to text something back or write something back, and I'll let her go ahead, but don't send it because you're going to regret it. You can't take it back. She's learned to let a lot of that just brush off and fall off and not worry about it. Because I think in prison, you couldn't do that. You couldn't show your feelings. Hey, it's me. I'm rustling my feathers. What do you got to say? Kind of thing. And her mentality was a lot that way, especially in the beginning of a relationship. And I said, I don't know how you handle things in there, but not out here in the real world. It's equal. It's equal. Both ways are equal, And those are some of the things that, I feel like by her lingo, and changing her lingo, because a lot of it was kind of prison talk. And I said, you know what, when you're out there, you want people to take you seriously. So you're going to have to speak seriously and not use some of these terms, So a lot of the times I was critiquing her when I was sitting in the audience, or like I'm looking at her, I'm like, hey, kind of fix your shirt kind of thing. I kind of straighten it out, or, sit a certain way, Those are some of the things I would, I help her with what's out here and calming her down. Now it's me. Now I feel like I'm more the aggressor when I need to tone it down.
Sweet. Well, are you sort of winking at her like put a ring on it?
Well, we talk about it, and Anna's very old school, very, very old fashioned. Even to the fact when I remember coming home at their mom's house, got off of work, and I was putting on my tennies and going outside. She says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to help you do the lawn. No, you just need to be inside making dinner. I said, says who? When you want to help me? She goes, well, because that's the way my dad and my brothers have been. The guys come outside and work. I said, you know what? Did I forget to tell you we both have the same body parts? I can go outside and I can go out and do the lawn. I said, if we put it this way, if I go out and help you do the lawn, you get done faster. We can come in, take a shower, have more time with each other. I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I should have left it the other way. Because Texas is hot. But back to your deal, she's old school and old fashioned. So, although I love how it happened for the two of y'all, I would love for her to do this spectacular thing. Like, I don't know, a blimp going out that way, or spilling in the sand or something. That's not going to be Anna. So don't expect any of that. It'd probably be over a cup of ramen noodle soup and just watching TV, and then she might say it,
Well, we have our fingers crossed. I just wanted to ask if there's anything else sort of like lingering perspective or thoughts that you have about your experience and where it's brought you to today that you want to convey.
Yeah. So I think that, even though what happened to me was tragic and completely turned my world upside down, I do see the positive in it, meaning I became more educated in the criminal justice system. I am stronger. I am one now to speak out, where before I wasn't. I would, see something and be meek, hiding, never wanting to be noticed, I guess. And now, no. Now things have to change, and I'm going to be a voice to say that. So basically stronger and better. It has changed me in that manner. And I've always looked at the positive side of things. It's made me the person I am today. I never thought I would have been that strong to get through everything that I went through.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel the same way. It's a weird thing to feel, because here's those worst experience of your life that you would never wish on anyone else. And yet there is some, like, it's hard to talk about gratitude when it's like, I'm not, thanking the cops,
Yeah, right. Like, where's that level?
But you almost have to be like grateful for yourself and for the people who loved you and for the truth and that meaning something to someone. Like, there are a million like little things and big things to be grateful for that turned you into the person you are today. And it's a weird thing to be grateful for.
Isn't it? And I hope we're not taken wrong, but yes, I mean, you're right. It is hard to describe that, right? And the way people are going to perceive that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're absolutely right. No, we're not thanking everybody that put us in prison, but I think we're just looking at it in a different way. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to do that.